In November 2024, Jaguar wiped its entire digital history overnight. The company unveiled a new logo and launched a copy-nothing ad so bizarre, it didn't even show a single car. Within days, global outrage exploded. Elon Musk mocked them, dealers panicked, and 5 months later, just 49 Jaguars sold in all of Europe. What could drive an iconic car maker from heritage to humiliation almost overnight? The answer begins with a decision most brands wouldn't dare. On November 18, 2024, Jaguar's servers went silent. Years of posts, customer stories, and a century of racing victories vanished from every official channel in a single sweep. Archive trackers caught the moment. One day the leaping cat still prowled across Jaguar's feeds. The next, it was as if the brand's history had never existed. The iconic leaper and growler symbols, recognized from Monaco to Mumbai, were replaced by a stark geometric wordmark, Jaguar, each letter alternating in size and weight, stripped of any feline grace. No explanation appeared. The Digital Purge was total. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and even the official website heritage pages all erased. Not a single image of an E-Type, no XJ on the assembly line, no nod to the company's British roots. Customer interactions, archived congratulatory messages, even milestone anniversaries, all gone. In their place, a blank slate and a new set of slogans appeared. Delete ordinary, live vivid, break molds. Internal memos later surfaced describing this as a necessary rupture to prepare for an all-electric future. The move was orchestrated by Jaguar's brand and digital leadership, working in tandem with Accenture Song and Spark 44. No names were attached in public, no interviews given. Responsibility diffused behind the shield of the Rebrand team. Dealers woke up to find decades of marketing collateral missing from their own resources. Heritage clubs, once partners in brand storytelling, found their links dead. The silence was intentional. Jaguar's leadership believed that to become something new, the past had to be erased, not just rewritten. This was not a campaign reset. It was a digital extinction event. For loyalists, the void left behind was immediate and personal. The absence of familiar icons and shared memories sent a clear message. The Jaguar they knew was over. The world watched as one of Britain's most storied marques deleted itself, pixel by pixel, with no sign of what would replace the empty space. The shock was as much about what disappeared as about what might come next. December 2nd, 2024. Miami Art Week, a place known for spectacle, became the stage for Jaguar's next act. Under the glare of gallery lights, the Type 00 concept car rolled out, not in British racing green, but in a jarring palette, Miami pink and London blue. Gone were the flowing lines and feline curves that once defined the brand. In their place, sharp creases and geometric panels created a shape that looked more at home in a science fiction film than on the streets of London or Los Angeles. The crowd, a mix of art dealers, influencers, and a handful of automotive journalists, fell silent. Jaguar's design team, led by creative director Jerry McGovern, stood by as the covers came off. Onlookers stared, phones raised, but the reactions were anything but unanimous. Some compared the car to Barbie's dream ride, others to the Tesla Cybertruck, and more than a few to an oversized air conditioning vent. Social media lit up within minutes. One commenter wrote that 0000 is how many you will sell, calling the car beyond ugly. Another called it the anti-Jaguar, a car that seemed designed to provoke rather than seduce. The official press kit described the Type 00 as exuberant modernism, a break from tradition meant to embody the new copy-nothing philosophy. The color names alone, Miami Pink and London Blue, were a statement chosen to signal a clean break from the muted silvers and deep greens of Jaguar's past. The car itself, with its angular silhouette and the absence of any leaping cat, was the first tangible evidence of a brand unmoored from its heritage. Inside the event, designers spoke of courage and reinvention. Outside, the mood was bewilderment. Dealers and longtime fans who had traveled for a glimpse of the future left with more questions than answers. For some, the shock of the reveal was exhilarating. For many, it felt like the ground had shifted beneath their feet. The new Jaguar was not just different, it was almost unrecognizable. Days later, the memes and think pieces kept coming, but one thing was clear: the world had just met a Jaguar that refused to look back. April 2025 delivered the most damning number in Jaguar's modern history: 49 vehicles registered across all of Europe. The previous April, that figure stood at 1,961. This wasn't a slip or a stumble. It was a 97.5% collapse. The European Automobile Manufacturers Association confirmed the data, and for Jaguar, the reality was inescapable: a showroom footprint that had shrunk to the size of a single British dealership. The freefall didn't begin in a vacuum. Jaguar's global sales had already been on a downward spiral, from 180,833 vehicles in 2018 to just 67,000 in fiscal 2024. The first half of 2025 brought another 40% drop, slicing Jaguar's share of its parent company's volume to a mere 8%. In the United Kingdom, once the brand's stronghold, registrations dropped by 27% in 2024 alone. Freefall CEO Adrian Mardell, months before the rebrand, admitted in a Financial Times interview that Jaguar was selling cars but close to zero profit. The numbers made his point. While parent company Jaguar Land Rover posted record profits, £2.5 billion for fiscal 2025, Jaguar's contribution was negligible. Land Rover's Defender alone outsold the entire Jaguar lineup nearly 2-1. Jaguar's official explanation for the nosedive pointed to the planned production stop. No production, no inventory, no sales. But the numbers on paper told a deeper story. Year to date, Jaguar's European registrations were down 75%. Globally, the company accounted for only a sliver of JLR's total output, with the rest dominated by Land Rover's surging demand. The 49-car statistic became a symbol, repeated in industry reports, splashed across business headlines, dissected in auto forums. It wasn't just a temporary blip. It was the hard evidence of a deliberate, high-risk strategy colliding with market reality. The collapse wasn't just about a lack of cars to sell. It was about the evaporation of demand, the loss of trust, and the brutal arithmetic of a brand left with nothing to show but a number that could fit on a single license plate. By spring 2025, Jaguar's name was absent from the European Automobile Manufacturers Association top charts. Dealers faced empty order books, and the company's defense, intentional scarcity, couldn't mask the scale of the downturn. Every registration, every missing sale, was a line item in a balance sheet that had moved from crisis to freefall. The numbers didn't just unravel, they vanished. Dealerships across Europe and North America found themselves at the center of a crisis that none had chosen. In the weeks after the rebrand, showroom managers unlocked their doors to silence. Cars that once drew crowds, the F-Type, the XE, even the I-Pace, were gone. Their spots on the floor were replaced by empty tiles and hastily repurposed lounge chairs. By January, the only things left to sell were memories and a handful of unsold sport utility vehicles. Salespeople who once relied on test drives and heritage stories to close deals now faced customers with nothing to offer but a promise. Wait 2 years, and something new might arrive. Some dealers tried to hold on. In the UK, a third-generation franchise owner described the mood as funeral-like. He watched longtime clients, many in their 60s and 70s, walk in, glance around, and leave without a word. A German retailer who had invested in a new Jaguar showroom just 3 years earlier said his staff spent more time fielding questions about the missing cars than about the future. In the US, the news was even harsher. Of the original 122 Jaguar dealers, only 20 would survive the transition as curated stores. The rest were told to prepare for closure or to switch to used vehicles. Defections became routine. One dealer in France reported that half his Jaguar customers had already switched to BMW or Audi, brands where the showrooms were still full and the sales teams could deliver a car in weeks, not years. A US dealer speaking anonymously to Automotive News described the situation as business suicide. He said, "We are supposed to sell a dream, but you cannot sell a dream with empty hands." Jaguar's corporate defense came in carefully worded statements. The company insisted that the collapse in registrations was not a rejection by the market, but the direct result of a deliberate production halt. An internal memo read, "No production means no inventory." It added, "This is a planned pause as we prepare for the next chapter." Executives framed the move as a necessary firebreak to clear the decks, focus on the all-electric future, and return stronger in 2026 with a new ultra-luxury lineup. CEO Adrian Mardell, before his retirement, described the move as courageous, a step required to break free from a legacy of low profitability and stagnation. But at the ground level, patience was running thin. Dealers questioned why the company could not have maintained even a trickle of inventory, something to keep customers engaged and to keep the lights on. Many felt abandoned by a brand that had erased not just its history, but its relationship with the people who kept it alive. With every empty showroom and every customer lost to a rival, the gap between Jaguar's boardroom optimism and retail reality grew wider. The numbers on the balance sheet told one story. The faces behind the counters told another. For them, the firebreak felt less like a strategy and more like a surrender. In 2021, Jaguar's board made a decision that would redefine the company's future. The brand would abandon the crowded mid-luxury segment, where BMW, Mercedes, and Audi had dominated for decades, and aim instead for the ultra-luxury stratosphere. The plan was simple: stop chasing volume, chase margin. Every model in the existing lineup would go. By December 2024, the F-Type, the XE and XF sedans, and the E-Pace and I-Pace SUVs were all discontinued. The company called this a firebreak, not a pause, not a refresh, but a deliberate halt to all production. Dealers were left with empty showrooms and no new vehicles for over a year. The gamble rested on a single beat. It assumed customers would wait for a new breed of Jaguar, 3 all-electric vehicles, the first a 4-door GT priced at $130,000, promising a range of 478 miles, scheduled for late 2026. Internal strategy documents described the move as a reset, a way to clear out legacy costs and reposition Jaguar as a direct rival to Bentley and Rolls-Royce. The board's architects believed that only a total break from the past could erase years of declining sales and near zero profits. This was not a slow transition. It was a scorched earth approach. The firebreak created a vacuum, no cars to sell, no inventory to display, and no bridge for loyal customers to cross while the new vision took shape. The risk was simple. Would anyone be waiting when the doors reopened? Across the industry, rivals faced the same economic headwinds, but their showrooms told a different story. Land Rover, sharing the same parent company and supply chains as Jaguar, posted record results, Defender alone moved 115,000 units in the year Jaguar collapsed. BMW, instead of pulling the plug on their best sellers, kept the 3 Series and the 5 Series on the lot, while adding electric models like the iX and the i4. That strategy paid off. BMW delivered 1.07 million vehicles in the first half of 2025, outpacing Mercedes by 170,000 units, and saw electric sales jump 32.4% in just 1 quarter. Audi followed a similar playbook, keeping the A4 and the A6 available while rolling out the Q-Ron line. Their electric sales soared 50.4% over the same period. These brands offered customers a bridge, familiar models alongside new electric choices. Jaguar, by contrast, offered only a cliff. The results were impossible to ignore. Where BMW and Audi showroom floors buzzed with activity, Jaguars remained silent. The numbers did not just favor the competition. They exposed Jaguar's strategy as an outlier, a case study in what happens when a brand gives buyers nowhere to go. May 2025 brought the first public casualty of Jaguar's failed reset. Accenture Song, the agency behind the Copy Nothing campaign and the Digital Purge, was dismissed with a year left on its contract. Official statements cited a global creative review, but inside sources described the split as a scramble to distance the company from an ad that had become a punchline across the industry. The creative partnership that once promised reinvention was now collateral damage. 3 months later, CEO Adrian Mardell announced his retirement after 35 years with Jaguar. He left behind a brand with almost no cars in showrooms and a legacy tied to the decision to erase the past. His replacement, P.B. Balaji, arrived from the finance division at Tata Motors, a longtime accountant now tasked with salvaging a luxury icon. On December 2, 2025, the day that should have celebrated a year of the new era, Jerry McGovern, the chief creative officer credited with the Evoque and the Defender, was dismissed and reportedly escorted from company headquarters. 2 decades of design leadership ended without ceremony, as the last architect of the old Jaguar was forced out. Meanwhile, the dealer network in the United States was gutted. From 122 locations, only 20 curated stores survived. Across the Atlantic, franchises braced for similar cuts. Yet the parent company, Jaguar Land Rover, was flush with record profits, £2.5 billion in fiscal 2025, thanks to Land Rover's relentless momentum. The contrast was impossible to ignore. While one half of the business soared, the other bled out leadership, partners, and presence, leaving a vacuum where a storied brand once stood. Right now, Jaguar's showrooms sit empty while rivals break sales records, proof that attention alone never sells trust. With just 49 cars sold in Europe, the stakes for reinvention have never been higher. Every brand faces the same cliff. Erase your legacy or build upon it. The world is watching to see if Jaguar finds solid ground or vanishes into marketing legend. Drop your take below. Reckless or revolutionary?